These are the questions that talk me down when jealousy and comparison start taking over my mind. 1, why aren't you being Moses? And 2, what are you excited to eat at the potluck dinner of life? I'll explain in a second. But this is part 2 of a 2-part video series. I think there's going to be way more videos on this topic moving forward, but we're talking about how we can handle confidence, comparison, and jealousy as an artist. And if you missed the previous video about confidence, go back and watch that. I'll leave a link to it below. Also, definitely watch my video about the idea of being good enough as an artist, if this is something you're struggling with or you just want to navigate this kind of thing better. So in part 1, in the previous video, we talked about what I think of as the internal side, which is cultivating confidence. And today I want to talk more about the external, which is what do we do about comparison and jealousy when it comes up as creatives? My biggest tip is actually something that I taught myself to do, which I think I'm pretty proud of this analogy that I came up with. But that's to look at the world as a potluck dinner, or to look at the internet, Instagram, the art world, the world at large, your field, your community, whatever it is, whatever arena you're thinking of that strikes up this comparison. Think of it as a big potluck dinner, or maybe more fun, think of it as like a cookie swap. And there are 2 sides to this. 1, you're making something that you're bringing. And 2, you're consuming things that have been made by other people. So those are your only jobs. You make a thing and you eat other people's things. It's not your job to make every good thing that's on the table. It's not even your job to eat the thing you brought. You are making the one thing and you are experiencing and consuming the other things. So if you come to a potluck dinner and you have the best thing, that's great and it makes you feel good about yourself. But what if everything else there is not good and you don't want to eat it? Like, you would not be happy there. You want to make something that you're excited about and then eat the delicious things that other people made. You want to benefit from their talents and their creativity and their good energy that they're putting out. Yes, you want to be proud of what you created and serve something that's edible and delicious. But if you're there the whole night just worrying about what your thing is, like if it tastes good, if people liked it, then you're totally missing out on the amazing food that you could be also enjoying from the people around you. So you enjoyed the process of making your amazing brownies, and now you also get the enjoyment of eating your friend's enchiladas or your mom's chicken marsala. You're not here to be the inventor or the maker of everything. So translated into art and creativity, the art world isn't here for you to only be making, and it's not here for you to only be worrying about how good the thing is that you're putting out there. You also get to enjoy what's out there. You also get to be a consumer, I mean that in a good way, like of what's out there. You get to enjoy other people's art and be part of this incredible give and take of the art world. So rather than looking at other artists' work as something you feel like, oh, I should have made that, or I should be doing something more like them, or I wish I was like that, or I wish I did this better, or why can't I be them? Just start experiencing other artists' work more and more, if you can, purely as a consumer, as a receiver, a beneficiary of this beautiful gift that you get to experience. That's it. That's your job with other artists' art. Of course, you can be inspired by them and, take ideas and make them your own and bring some of that enjoyment into your art, but don't let the lines get muddled of what you're putting out and what other people are putting out, and that you need to be making all the good things, and it just kind of like blurs the lines if we start thinking like that. I kind of look at it sort of the same way some spiritual teachers teach differentiating the ego as opposed to the intuition or the higher self. You don't have to look at it that way, but if you're interested in that kind of thing, I think going down that path and learning more about how our ego mind works versus our intuition, I think that can really help cool down some of that comparison, where you realize like it's not just about you and what you're making, it's about being part of this like greater exchange. Oh yeah, and now the Moses thing. So you might have heard this before. There are a lot of versions of this story, and I'm not talking about it in a religious way. I just think it's like a funny anecdote. Basically, there was the story of like when you go to heaven, God or whoever it is, whoever's there, isn't going to ask, why weren't you Moses? Or they're not going to ask, why weren't you more like Moses? God or they or he or she is going to ask, why weren't you more like you? Insert your name. For me, why weren't you more like Emily Snyder? In other words, you're not here to be that other artist or do that creative thing over there or have this other person's exact talent. You're here to be you. Like, you're here to create the things that you're here to create. Oh boy. Okay. Now, this might be the hardest part. Let's talk about jealousy, envy, and putting other creative people on a pedestal. This is, I think, the hardest thing to deal with. And I almost feel weird talking about it because it's like a little bit, embarrassing to admit that you have jealousy. But I think we all do. And there's actually, I'm sure you've heard of it, a famous blog called The Jealous Curator by Danielle Crissa. And she really put to words, I think what a lot of us feel is like excitement when we see other people's art, but then sometimes, man, I wish I had thought of that, or I wish I were that talented or that smart or that creative or whatever, that famous. But it's just normal. Like, we all kind of go through that no matter what level you're at. There's always going to be someone you're thinking that way about. So for me, there's basically two ways to deal with this. And I do both at different times depending on how I'm feeling. One is look away. Close the Instagram app, turn off the video, walk out of the gallery, close the website, whatever rabbit hole you found yourself down where you're seeing someone else's work or just their vibe and it's making you feel inferior in some way or just bad about yourself. It's okay to remove your focus from it. It can be temporary, you can come back to it or not. And it doesn't mean anything about that person. They may still be a wonderful person. You may still have so much love and respect for them as a person, as an artist. But if you're feeling vulnerable or not great about yourself, just take a step back. Like, take yourself away from it and go do whatever you need. Comfort watch TV, go for a walk in the woods, call a friend, just basically soothe yourself and your emotions and let it settle down. Two is make friends. Make friends. Live out community over competition in real life, in real time. I think the first time I heard this was from Emily and Kathleen on the Being Boss podcast a long time ago. When you're feeling envy, jealousy, whatever of someone, is there a way you can start being their friend? Maybe literally, maybe just kind of energetically. Maybe it's someone that lives in your community or that shows at the same art gallery as you. And you've just been in your head comparing yourself and thinking they're so amazing and you're not, or they're doing this and you're not. But what if you ask them out for coffee and get to know them and realize that they are a real 3D complex human being? They're not perfect. You probably have a lot in common. It takes some of that power away that you're kind of projecting onto them and softens this big, hairy, scary vision of them as this perfect artist. And you don't have to meet anyone in person for this to help. We live in a time where you can have internet friends. You can send thoughtful DMs or leave supportive comments and really send good vibes to that person. Again, you want to do this when you're in a state where you're feeling pretty good. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of that envy, but for the most part, you're kind of comfortable or feeling okay emotionally. If you're really stressed out about it, save it for another time and go take that walk or whatever. But maybe you can get to know them or humanize them a bit through chatting with them in a DM or leaving a supportive comment. And it feels really good to connect with people and kind of make it feel as if you're on the same team. When you're showing up for them and supporting them, it kind of brings you over to their side where it's okay, I'm on team whoever and I am supporting their art, and maybe they'll start supporting me and leaving comments on my posts. And that's not the goal, but it's just a way to kind of connect and take yourself from being on the outside looking in to okay, I'm going to actually support this person and be on their side versus just being on the other side looking from afar. And this stuff works so well and so fast. This I really think is one of the keys to jealousy. And it doesn't work in every context. Obviously, you can't go around making friends with everyone you see on the street who you have some kind of, comparison with. But for these purposes, for talking about other artists and creatives that we're seeing on the internet, there's often is a way to connect with them or just to support them, even just hitting a like on one of their posts. Here's an example. I obviously am working on growing my YouTube channel and expanding to help more artists. And I'm really proud of what I'm doing and what I'm creating, but it's still hard. I still feel I'm falling short on every single time I hit record. So when I started thinking, okay, I want to share more on YouTube and help other artists, I was you know what? I'll just do it for fun. I'll be really light about it. But that went out the window pretty quickly the second I started seeing other artists with YouTube channels and what they were doing. And was I doing it enough? Was I doing it right? Could I compete with them? And I just started feeling so insecure seeing these people. Their content's amazing. Oh my gosh, they're prettier. They're better dressed. They have cooler graphics, better lighting. Their studio is so aesthetic and cool. And anyone would want to watch their videos. I actually felt this like anxiety in my body, like a knot in my stomach when I saw this one person popping up who I thought was just nailing it. Like she just seemed so incredible, which I still think she is. And it just gave me this feeling like, oh my gosh, what can I do to even compete? But actually the day I released one of my first videos in this kind of recent iteration of my YouTube channel, I happened to see that this artist who I'd been idolizing as a YouTube artist posted a video on feeling insecure. And I was like, what? Like she feels insecure? She's amazing. Like her videos are amazing. Like what is she talking about? So I started watching it, even though I was still feeling this kind of like envy and comparison with her. And as soon as I started listening to her talk, I loosened up. And you know what happened? The second my anxious feeling in my stomach started to go away, it was when I paused the video and left a supportive comment. Like she had, opened up and talked about what she was feeling insecure about. And it was something that I don't feel insecure about. One of the few things in my art career where I was like, I actually feel confident about that. And so I wrote a comment to her like, it's so interesting to see that we all struggle with different things, and just kind of like left her a love note of like, you're doing great and keep going. I admire you. So it's like this trance lifted and I got to make a YouTube artist friend. I mean, I haven't talked to her and I don't know if I ever will, but I feel like we're kind of, like I said, like on the same team now, where rather than fretting over how much better her lighting is and how much better she is at painting, I just humanized this person and I was like, oh, there's room for all of us. She's someone who is going through similar highs and lows as I am. Like we can kind of be in this together. Again, even if it's just like energetically in my mind. When you get to know someone a little better, whether that's through actually talking to them or just like learning more about them, or maybe hearing them on a podcast or something, it one takes away this mystique you might have around them, that they're this like special, out there, perfect person. And two, again, you end up rooting for them rather than worrying about yourself, rather than comparing yourself. You kind of take the attention off of you. Like I love playing tennis and I love watching tennis, but I realized, like, I was thinking about this recently. I was watching Wimbledon. I'm not jealous of those players who are obviously better than I am at tennis. I'm excited for them to win because I feel like, oh, this is my team. This is like, I like this player. They're winning, or they just hit a great point. Like, cool, we're, on the same team. I'm rooting for them. I'm not thinking about myself in that moment. And one more thing I want to share about jealousy and comparison is finding a way to see jealousy as a gift. And I know that is super hard and it's something that takes some practice, and it's not something you can do maybe the second you feel triggered by jealousy. It's kind of like once you're in a calmer, less triggered state, you've gone for a walk, you've pet your dog, like you've chilled out a little bit, can you start asking yourself what the jealous feeling is trying to tell you? Because it's pretty much always giving you something, some kind of information you can learn from. When we have envy for what someone else has, it's like a very clear, tangible message to us of like, oh, I want that. As an artist, it can give you more insight into what you want to create more, or how you might want to change your work or improve certain skills that you have, or maybe like what you want your career to look like, what kind of galleries you want to work with, or if you want to work with galleries, that kind of thing. I've heard this talked about a lot, like the idea of looking at jealousy for what can actually help you think about what you want. But I actually recently watched this really good video with Sonia Tully, who's like a coach, teacher. And anyway, she explains the gifts of jealousy in a way that clicked for me like nothing else ever has, and made me feel like so much more like comforted about it. So I will leave a link to her video below because I think you should just go watch that. Ultimately, the cure for jealousy is working on yourself. It's like, yes, supporting other artists and, like I said, like building community, but the more confident you are in what you're doing, the less the outside noise is going to bother you. By the way, if I haven't introduced myself, my name's Emily. I'm a fine artist and I'm obsessed with encouraging other artists to thrive. So if you need more help or encouragement, I have a free email list you can join. I have one-on-one coaching, I have group calls, everything is linked below. And you're also welcome to just stick around here. I have so much coming out that I'm excited to share. So definitely subscribe so that you can catch all of it.